Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am your Ice Dragon, Rayron VR, and welcome back to the National Model Railroad Month for November 2023. We are on day 20 of this journey into the world's greatest sandbox hobby. And today we're going to talk about kind of a recently new technology that's been kind of growing and being able to be more cost efficient, not necessarily in the model railroading itself, but also just worldwide. Now, I can make a whole video about this. I can make several hour video essay on this topic, but right now we're just going to get into the very top layer when it comes to this. And today we're going to be talking about 3D printing. So, 3D printing has come a long ways. I remember when this technology was fairly new. It costs several $100s to the $1,000 range to get into one of these 3D printing, and now you can get them for literally hundreds of dollars, which is great, almost for the same price as a normal printer. But the capabilities that you can have with this is phenomenal. You got two different types of printers. You've got filament printing, which is basically you've got this filament plastic, I guess is the best way to describe it, and it basically gets heated up with a printing nozzle, and then you're able to shape it depending on how you layer it, or slicing essentially, to get that 3D print that you've designed. And so you can see here we got 3D text here. We've got a heart. We got what looks like a skull that's being printed here, and you can do so many cool things with this. And when it comes to 3D printing, if you're printing like very big, complex designs, filament is typically the way to go. Now, there's also another style of printing called resin printing, where basically you buy this resin liquid that goes into this little container of the 3D printer, and then using ultraviolet light, it basically shines the light and automatically it typically hardens that resin, giving you the layer shape, again kind of slicing as well, to give you that detailed print. Now, if you really want to be super detailed when it comes to miniatures, as you can see here, there's a lot of like D&D type of printing here, maybe Warhammer. We got some Star Wars figurines as well, especially when it comes to like HO scale figurines, as we were talking about with mini prints. Prints uses a resin printer, and this is typically the way you would want to go if you want to get super detailed models. Now, the issue with resin is that if you have small kids or pets like myself, you definitely want to keep these chemicals away from them. So you want to make sure you work in an environment that you can isolate these. And that goes with any of these printers when it comes to filament and when it comes to resin. You typically want to keep it in a closed environment away from like air conditionings and stuff like that, just to get the best print possible. But again, I'm not going to go too much into the details when it comes to 3D printing. There's plenty of YouTube tutorials that go into kind of the technical aspects of 3D printing between resin and filament. But the big thing to take away is these exist. They're actually pretty cheap. I got my entry-level resin printer for about $180 on Amazon, and I've loved it. I printed out a ton of different examples and test files that came with the 3D printer, and I'm hooked. I'm 100% hooked. And now what this relates to model railroading is, let's go ahead and take a look at one of my videos, is that 3D printing is going to change model railroading. Now, what you can pretty much do is print out cars, and even if you know the basics of CAD or computer aided design, you can design your own cars to print out. And I think that's pretty darn cool, because let's say if you have that one particular car that no one makes, there's a gap in the market, no one's making it, then you could potentially design it and 3D print that particular car. So I've dabbled into 3D printing. I've created a whole 3D printed train here with the medium size ore cars that we got here, printed out the trucks, printed out the main body, and I was able to use 36-inch wheels with Kitty couplers, and now we have a fully printed 3D train, which is pretty darn cool. And it gets even better from there. So if you go to a place like Thingiverse, Thingiverse is the main website that I go to when it comes to 3D printing model railroading. These are other people just sharing their ideas and sharing their designs, so that way you can 3D print these objects at home. So look at this. You can print construction crews. You can print housing. You can even some industrial buildings. Now, you may have to tweak the files, and that's where it gets really technical to make sure that it works appropriately with your 3D printer. I had to do that a couple times with my ore cars. I had a few test examples I had to shape up and tweak and so forth. But I tell you what, when it comes to 3D printing, I'm starting to be a big fan of millimeters, I tell you what. But look at this. We got a water tower here. Again, more cars that you can print out. It's just amazing what this is a hobby within a hobby. And it's just quite revolutionary. And we've also got, the track cleaning attachments that you can put on the truck car. Like, I forgot the name of it. It's from Woolix Scenics, I believe. But anyways, we've got like a little hut house here, a bank, a gazebo. Man, someone even designed an HO scale roundhouse. I'm actually quite curious about this. But look at that. So you can see here some of the files, the instructions. Wow. It's got 12 files here. Incredible. So we got engine doors. So you'll have to 3D print them individually and then glue it together like a kit. And you got all the instructions here. That's pretty darn cool. Yeah, we're definitely going to like that. I'm not signed in. But yeah, and it's free. That's the crazy thing about it. You just pay for the filament and you just print it out. It is kind of, or the resin if you're using a resin printer. But again, this just surprises me each and every day. Usually once a week I'm on Thingiverse to see exactly what I can print because I know I can save some money by doing it this way. And that's the thing about it, is that 3D printing, it's the next evolutionary stage when it comes to manufacturing. That you, the person at home, can print any of these items. And again, it is great for kit bashing as well. And you can even, look at this, you can 3D print double stack well cars. So it's amazing how far 3D printing has come. And it's going to continue to reduce in price. The entry level of 3D printing is getting cheaper and cheaper, just like any other technology out there, and it's becoming more affordable. And it's just great to see. And so I wanted to dedicate a whole video to this because if you're like me and looking for alternate ways to buying the 50, the 60, maybe $100 kits that are coming out, take a look at 3D printing. Take a look at CAD work because you could potentially just make your own and print it out and make it the way you want it to be. And I've always kind of talked about that 3D printing is going to help model railroading get to the next level, especially in HO scale, because with the rise of the Bluenomi decoders, with the rise of hopefully dead rail, with batteries being a little more efficient and affordable to put in our engines, and now what you can do is 3D print the track. That is going to give us everything that we need, at least for the HO scalers out there, to take the HO scale and be more efficient outside to have our very own HO garden scale. So I'm super excited where that can go and where 3D printing can take it. But until then, we'll see. We've got some re-railers, some bridges. Again, I can just go on and on and on when it comes to 3D printing. And I've seen plenty of YouTubers also 3D printing their own like towns and villages. And it's so cool to see all the detail in there as well. And you better believe that these up-and-coming manufacturers are looking at 3D printing to help build their companies. But it's such a great thing to see. Look, it's even McDonald's. You can get a McDonald's 3D printed. It's just, this website amazes me. And again, this is just one website. One website. Amazing. There's plenty of more out there. So, yeah, that is by far a big staple in the future of this hobby and how it's going to be a little bit more affordable to get that scenery, as we talked about from the last video. So definitely excited for that. So with it, guys, do you have a 3D printer at home? What have you 3D printed? Do you want to get into 3D printing? Do you want to get into the filament or resin? Let me know down below. Like for this video if you enjoyed it. And with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.